When looking at the drawing for C13, it's pretty clear that this is very different than what we've been doing in the past. It's pretty much solely circles and then just some dimensions. So there's going to be a lot of new things that we learn with this drawing, so I would highly recommend that you take notes. Now when we go into AutoCAD, the first thing that you need to do for this drawing is to do a zoom all. And the reason that is because in our protofractional we could have zoomed in, zoomed out, and when we create our drawing, we're not going to start at 1, 1. We just want to start in the middle of where our limits were set up. So I do a zoom all. I would save this twice. That way you know that your protofractional is good to go whenever we do circles now. And then go ahead and save this as C13. Now the next thing that we have to do is create our circle. So I'm going to go ahead and start by creating the outside circle. So I can see it's got a diameter of 5 3/4. So when I go back into AutoCAD, I'm going to learn a new command. It's a very simple one to do. I'm going to do C, enter for circle. It's going to be asking me to specify the center point, but I'm not going to be able to do that and know exactly where it should go in the center of my screen. So I'm just going to kind of guesstimate, and really where it's located horizontally isn't as important as vertically. So I just want to kind of make sure it's towards the center. And again, it can be shifted over a little bit more towards the left side of your screen. So right now it's asking me, it says specify radius of circle, or, and if you look down the bottom, here's the or, it's for diameter. So whenever you do circle, you always have to select, if you're given the diameter, D for diameter, and then I can type in 5 3/4. I hit enter. Now I can go ahead and create another circle. I can do the diameter of 3 circle. So it's asking for the center point. These are going to be concentric circles, so they should share the same center point. And if I hover around where the center is, nothing's appearing. But if I hover, and again I'm just hovering, I'm not clicking, hover over the large circle, you can now see the center markers appearing, and I can click that to create now my diameter of 3 circle. I do have another circle that I need to create, so I can do the same thing. It doesn't really matter which circle because these both share the same center point. I click, and then instead of typing in D for diameter, because it's given me radius in my drawing, I can go ahead and do 2 3/16 and hit enter. Now I have to create the smaller circle, so it's going to be a lot easier for me to locate where these circles are because it's really through the center point here or here. That's going to make life a lot easier to do, so I'm going to focus on possibly trying to find either this circle or this circle. So I'm going to go ahead and do C, enter, and I can hover over the center point, and look, if I just hover over the center point, it's giving me this horizontal line if I move my cursor out. I want my small circle to be on this middle line, and I need to go ahead and create this where it's got a diameter of 5/8. Once I have that done, I can go ahead and I'm going to use erase. This is going to be a new way to use erase, so you'll probably want to take some notes on this. I'm going to do AR, enter. And instead of doing rectangular like we normally do, because I don't want to do columns and rows, I want to do polar. And polar is going to be with angles. So if you look at the drawing, we're given that the space between is 45 degrees. So it's asking now for the center point. If I select this as the center point, then all of these circles, this size circle, will be arrayed around here. I want these small circles to be arrayed around the center point for this circle, and that center point is right in the middle. So if I select this, you can see that I'm on the right track. It's getting to where it needs to be. However, I don't have quite enough circles. So if you count, there should be 8 circles. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and change this to 8. It's making this at a space of 45 degrees. I didn't have to do anything with that, just to kind of explain why that works. If I had 360 degrees and I divide that by 8, I'm going to get 45, meaning that these circles are evenly spaced around that circle. My next step is going to now be adding center lines. So I'm going to do L, enter, and I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing a line through the middle of my circle. So I'm going to go ahead and create this line here. And it was very easy for me to figure out exactly how to create that by hovering towards the center. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and lengthen this line because I want to make sure that my center line is 3/8 of an inch past. I'm going to do LEN, enter, and I'm going to select either delta at the bottom or just type in DE, and we should know that the space for center lines past an object is 3/8. I can select this line and this line. And now I could do the same thing for all of these other circles. I could draw lines and go ahead and lengthen. That would just take a lot longer than what I'm about to show you. I'm going to do array. I'm going to select this line and I'm going to do polar. I want to choose this as the center point. And the items right now is set to 6. I actually want to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to change this to 4. My space right now is making this 90. What I need to do is change this to 45 because we know our space between circle to circle from the middle to middle is 45. And this now changes my fill and just says 135. So this is the amount of space that it's filling up. So that way it's not duplicating this line twice. So you can actually see where it's creating our lines now. Once I've done this, I can go ahead and close out of the array. And if I select the lines I just arrayed and hit explode, I can reselect them and now change it to center line. And I now have the center lines for all of my circles. I can do the same thing now for this because this circle will be considered a centerline circle as well. The last thing that I need to do for this drawing is to add my dimensions. So I'm going to go ahead and change my layer to dimension. Then I'm going to go to annotate, and we've now used aligned, we've used angular, we have yet to use radius or diameter to create our dimensions. A lot of students try to go to leader. Please don't do that. This is so much easier and it does exactly what you need it to do for your dimensions. We should remember from our drawings where we did circles and arcs on the table that we use radius for arcs and circles we use a diameter dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and select diameter. And I'm going to pick the outside circle, and you can see it's snapping. So I'm actually going to do, typically I'll just do about 2 snaps, and if I line this up you can actually see it's going 3/8 because we know my center line's 3/8. And I can do 2 snaps, and they should be at a 45-degree angle. That's going to be relatively hard to do because where this center line is at 45 degrees. So you can just kind of really, I would put them more towards the center so it doesn't get too clustered and too crowded. And then I'm going to go ahead and do diameter dimension for this one as well. Please make sure you do diameter, even though this one's given us radius. I can go ahead and do this as well. If it's not clicking it very easily, you can always try zooming in, zooming out. Here's my diameter 3, and I have one more that I'm going to do, and I can go ahead and select this. Now, we do have to do one more thing. I do want you to add some text right here just to make it a little bit more correct as far as guidelines go for drawing. And we're going to go ahead and make sure the text height is an 1/8 inch, rotation should be 0, and I want you to do times 8 holes. Enter, enter. And if you need to adjust and move this so it is a little bit more in the center, do that. If it won't let you move it as easily as you want, make sure that snap is turned off. And then you should be done with the drawing. All you have to do is add your title block, print it, and submit to Schoology.